What is happening, guys? Been a couple months. Why don't you let me know how the audio is, whoever's here. Am I coming through clear? Okay, excellent. Jared's here. What's up, Jared? Rigo, what's up, man? Audio's good. Excellent. How's everyone's weekend going? Been a little busy. Summertime video making and taking has not been occurring as frequently, so I apologize for that. Just a lot of stuff going on during the summer usually for me, but a couple more months should be mostly fish stuff. Focus more on the cichlids. I don't think we did a live video in August. Yeah, I think the last one was July, but had a little time slot here, so said why not? See if anybody still remembers that I do these things. See if anybody shows up, and if no one does, I hang out in my fish garage. I don't know if any of you guys live in Southern California, but we have had some really different weather lately. I think it was 11 straight days of just kind of the peak of how hot it gets out here. And obviously I know we're spoiled here, so I'm sure there's many places that experience the heat that we've been getting, but for us here, I think it's been 11 straight days of 90 to 100 degrees, and fish tanks have gotten up to 85 in the garage without heaters. A buddy of mine lives close, and his tanks are up to like 87, and he's all panicking. He's got a lot of geophagus and South American cichlids and stuff like that, and he's like throwing bottles of ice in his tanks around the clock. I don't know if he's if he's taking it too far, but I'm definitely not doing any of that in my garage. Although I have had some fry of certain species that have not been doing great, but with that aside, everything else is doing fine. You know, you could tell they're a little bit just slightly lethargic with 85 degree water, but as a whole, not a whole lot difference. So and I thought I would also get trigger a bunch of spawns, but I really haven't seen that either. Trying to think, when was my last spawn? I think I got some red terrors. I pulled out a really small batch maybe 3 weeks ago, and the multifasciatus, the Freddies, yeah, they had like, God, I don't know if it was 3 pairs had spawned in there, you know, and it was getting rough because I only have them in a 4-foot tank, and I was, you know, the few odd ones that were not paired up were getting thrashed. So I made it, you know, I pulled the fry, regardless if I was going to keep them or not. I pulled the fry and got rid of them out of that tank. We can actually go check them out. They're actually not as lit up as they were when they were all spawning, but that tank is it's getting too small for them, so I'm gonna have to figure something out. The Cichlid hoarder. What up, my boy? Cichlid hoarder in the house. Good things with cichlids. So anyways, got the hot spell, but anyway, back to the weather. Now we had this, what is it, hurricane that came up off, you know, it's never going to make it on shore here, but it came pretty close offshore, and it really dropped the temperature. I think like 15 to 20 degrees, thank God. You know, for the 11 days, and we don't have, where I live, a lot of people don't have air conditioning, so it's, you know, usually never gets that bad where we need it. You know, I'm close enough to the beach where I can get, you know, we get the onshore breeze, and so we usually don't need air conditioning, but the last 11 days have been really rough. You know, borderline not sleeping in your bed because you're just sweating your butt off. You know, fall asleep on the couch downstairs next to the window. Anyways, it's been a little rougher, but thank God for Hurricane K, I think it's called. Brought a bunch of rain and cooler temperatures, some wind. And so anyways, today's a cloudy day. The fish are not going to get a lot of that natural light like I usually try to time my videos, but you know, I had a time slot, so I said, hey, let's go live, see who wants to talk. Yes, Juan, I know that's you. Juan Mac, aka the Cichlid hoarder. John, what's up, John? With me, what's going on? Not much, just actually the complete opposite. A lot's going on. That's why I haven't been able to get my frequent videos on my YouTube. A lot of my hobbies, kind of summer related, really keep me busy. Family too. It's yeah, busier time. But in the off season, you know, winter, it's definitely, I can't do my hobby fishing, which it is. I don't really do as much of it, so I definitely focus more on the fish. But yeah, that's what's going on, and the crazy weather out here in Southern California. Crazy for us, not crazy for other places. I know that. Jay Smith, what's up, Jay? Jay said, not too hot today, just muggy. Threw a couple of bags of ice in my 240 in the garage on the hottest day, Wednesday, and it stayed around 80. Wow. I'm assuming, Jay, you're located in around here, Southern California. Sounds like it by the weather you're talking about. That's pretty cool. You're able to get the temperature of your 240 down to 80 degrees. That's pretty good. What if you don't mind me asking, what cichlids or fish are you keeping in that 240 gallon? And what would your temperature be if you didn't cool it down? Kind of curious. It's not something I really ever have to deal with, and even when it gets hot, like 85, I think even one summer was 86 temperatures in my tanks, I really didn't do anything, you know, and fortunately I didn't have any losses, but I'm guessing it's right there, borderline, you know, redlining, to the point where maybe something bad could go wrong. I don't know. I know the oxygen levels, right? You know, that ends up affecting the fish when you have warmer water. However, as you guys know, in my garage, I got my sponge filters on full blast. It's full loud mode in the garage with my central air pump, but kind of interesting. Never really had to consider much of that most of the time, 99% of the time. Who else is out there? I'm not able to see a list of people. Oh, and I guess I should give my normal rundown for those who haven't heard it 1,000 times. Live videos. This is just I like to call it a cichlid meeting. It's not about me, it's about everybody. We can talk about whatever you want, bring up cool topics. I love that, and we'll start discussing. Could be controversial topics. Those are even more fun. I try to think of things and bring them up. For networking, oftentimes we get a lot of people in here that distribute, sell fish, breeders, importers. The Cichlid hoarder is one of those guys in here today, I think. He imports really nice wild caught fish. He's been doing that for a long time. He's the man when it comes to cichlids and wild caughts. You know, networking's good. You got a YouTube channel? Throw it out there. I think a lot of us are always looking for some content. At least I know I am. So it's kind of fair game. Anything's discussion-wise, anything's on the table. And since you guys we can only operate scene video from, you know, my perspective. If you want to see anything in the fish room, speak up. I'll move around. If you have questions on anything, you know, for anybody or me specifically, don't be shy. I get a lot of questions to make videos of certain things, you know, like filtration or different systems and this and that. And I kind of just focus on my fish. You know, it's sort of like a fish diary. So I think I have done like a product review thing or something, one of them or two. But most of the time, I'm not going to make a video on how to hatch brine shrimp or something like that, right? So this would be the perfect time to just ask anything, ask general whatever questions. I'll do my best to answer them. I don't know everything. I don't know that much, period. We're all just here to learn, I think, in the hobby. So there is my overview of my live videos. No real format. And I try to get to the comments here and there. They, you know, I'm working on my phone screen, so I don't think it's the best way of doing these, but I work with it and try to get to the comments as fast as possible and the questions. That's basically it. Ryan said nice. John said, any idea why we haven't seen Festae, if I'm saying that right, Festae on stock lists? That's actually a good discussion topic, John. That kind of goes along the lines of, you know, why don't you see more of a certain species in the hobby, right? Even to the point, why don't you see people posting pictures of them, posting video, or even to the extreme, why don't you see them at all? And I think it boils down to a couple things, and correct me, guys, if you have anything else to add here, but popularity, overall is what I think drives a lot of it. If a cichlid is not popular, you're not going to see it stay in the hobby that long, right? Let's say it's really drab or doesn't have a great personality. I think it ends up slowly disappearing from the hobby. Let's say someone brings them in, imports or goes and collects a bunch of wild caughts, brings them in. It's like, I want to make the species popular, abundant in the hobby. If people might initially start keeping them, I know a lot of people do on rare species. Juan brings in a lot of rare species, the cichlid hoarder, and some of them are popular, and they remain in the hobby, and some are just not, and the reason for that could be a number of reasons, easiest one being, coloration. Maybe it's just not as colorful or perceived as beautiful to, a majority of people, although it could be to someone else. But if it's not, it just kind of ends up disappearing from the hobby, over time. I think a really good example is the true green terrors. Let's see if we can check them out without them getting skittish. I think the true green terrors are absolutely beautiful. That's not one of the dominant ones. Dominant guys are all hiding in here. But anyways, I think this species is absolutely fantastic and beautiful, subtly beautiful in their own way. Certain people absolutely love them. It's their favorite species. But as a whole, they're just not as popular, I think. I've seen, personally, it took me 5 to 6 years to get some. It was extremely rare, and it hasn't been for lack of people bringing them in. There's the dominant male. It's just, I think the majority ends up not liking them as much as other species. Let's say, for example, the gold psalm, the Rivulatus, the commonly mislabeled as green terror species. Those you see everywhere. I mean, it's basically at my fish shops all the time. There's no shortage of those in the hobby. And I think it's a preference thing. You could argue they're more beautiful than these true green terrors. And I could see, coloration wise, they're probably brighter. And so for that reason, you're going to see species like Stahlsbergi disappear, but Rivulatus will remain, and so Parasite, maybe it's along those lines. I think they're very brightly colored when done correctly. I've never actually kept one, but I've seen, beautiful ones. The other side of the equation is how, let's say, hardy or tough of a species they are. There's species like Herichthys labradens, yellow labs, if any of you know about those, I know Juan does, that are, you basically never see almost never see anybody post them. And it's not because no one brings them in. I think even Juan is bringing some in, very, soon. You see breeders listing them on their stock lists, yellow labradens. I've even experienced trying to keep some myself, and they all bloated within a month. It was extremely frustrating, difficult species to keep. And so I don't know about Festae, Pierce, if they're similar to that. You know, I haven't kept them. I don't know if they're difficult to keep, but I think maybe one of those answers, if not a combination of them, might be the reason. You know? So, you know, of course, you're going to see all those common species out everywhere. Everybody's got fry. Everybody's got them on their stock lists. You know, what are the top 5 common species? There's a good question. The top 5 American cichlids, most common, most popular American cichlids in priority. So do the first one, the number 1 most common. Your second one as your number 2, and go to 5. I want to hear what everybody has to say. I'm pretty sure you're going to hear something along the lines of Jack Dempsey's, Oscars, convicts, along those lines, right? But I'm curious what everybody considers those to be. So there's a question for you. What are the top 5 most common cichlids? And then maybe a little bit later we'll do the top 5 most rare species. That's going to be I think that's going to be a lot differing list from everyone, but I'd be curious to see what everybody says. Top 5 most common species in the hobby. Most abundant. You're most likely to see them at your fish shops. Available. Let's see those lists, guys. Jay Smith said, this is in my question to him as far as where he lives. He's in Los Angeles. Cool, Jay. You're very close. You have a variety of Central South Americans: Jag, Midas, Carpentis, Salvini, Salvini, Sinspillum, Gold Som, Trimac, Cod. Wow, yeah, you got a lot of nice species in there. Beautiful fish in your 240 gallon. That's got to be an amazing tank to watch. Kind of throws out the need for a TV if you got something like that in your house. Or if it's in your garage, you probably end up sitting in your garage all day. That's got to be something. That's pretty cool, Jay. John said, what do you feed? John, I think, you know, I don't know if I feed what's best. I think the only way to truly know that is you got to try everything for extended periods of time and see results consistently over how many fish. You can't just say, oh, look at this fish, turned out great because I fed him this. You know, how much of that is the genetics or the fish itself? So for me, I try to aim for a variety and try to think of the top 5 foods that I feed right now. I feed otohini, which is a bulk food that I have to buy. I have to buy like 50 pounds of it. So that's more for somewhat as a filler food because I go through a lot of food and the price really helps me out. But it's not something I feed, you know, solely to my fish. I feed a lot. I feed North Fin. I think I'm more dialed into the North Fin veggie, and I feed that to like my Stalsberg guy. I was feeding it to my Maculopinis, my Panamensis, stuff that, you know, I have heard. I'm not confident. I'm not sure, but I have heard that more of a veggie diet, a low-fat diet might be better. But I also sprinkle that in with all my cichlids, you know, to get some veggie. So North Fin, I got that in there. Let's see, I got some Hikari Massivore. That stuff is like crack for some of my bigger fish. They really like that stuff. So I give them that a little bit mixed in. That one I don't get for, it's definitely not cheap. But being committed to a variety, you know, I add that in. I've been doing a lot of Ken's fish food lately, and a lot of my flake, actually almost all my flake food is from Ken's. I think I try to aim for a lower fat but probiotics added flake food, and so the one that I think I'm mostly feeding is a VitaBoost premium VitaBoost flake. It's like a red flake, and so they obviously put some vitamins. They got probiotics in there. It's got I think it's got salmon meal, not bad ingredients at all, and it's got low fat. So I like that Ken's flake, and I go through a spirulina flake from Ken's. Ken's is just great, and then when you need medicated foods, you got the metronidazole flake with, I think it's got garlic in there. They even have, I've been using some of the sticks, the Cichlid sticks lately. They got this 4 blend stick food. I think one of them's like earthworm, one's spirulina, one's krill, one's something else. I've been feeding that to a lot of my bigger fish, and they kind of like it. So I add that in. And I'm definitely not opposed to trying stuff. I've tried a lot of different things, and try to get a good variety. Try not to get them hooked on one thing, that to me would be, a problem. Let's say you couldn't find that food, or I distribute a lot of fish, and the last thing someone would want is me to ship them a fish that hooked on one food that person doesn't have, or they don't want to buy 50 pounds of it. So it makes it easier to move fish on for the other people if you're feeding a variety. So it's kind of my long-winded answer. Hope that helped, John. Okay, Jared, first up, as far as his top 5, his top 5 most common species in the hobby, American cichlids, from 1 to 5. The number 1, Jared said, is Oscars. I agree. Fire mouse, that's a good one. I forgot about that one. Texas cichlids, there you go. And by Texas, I'm guessing you're not referring to blue Texas, more not Carpentis, but the true Texas. Jack Dempsey's, and then you said terrors. I'm assuming, is that red terrors? Or is that gold solemn? Probably not true green terrors. Those are pretty rare. But that's a good list. I don't disagree with any of those. John said, our personal or most common in the hobby, John. I'm basically asking, what are the most common American cichlids that you can almost always count on seeing available in the hobby? So you go to your couple local fish shops. What are the species that are most frequently available? And that was kind of stemming off the question earlier on the other species about not being in the hobby too often. So yeah. Mike likes coffee. What's up, Mike? I like coffee too. Mike said, are green sunfish considered cichlids? They really have cichlid characteristics and look like a cichlid. That's a good question, Mike. I don't know the answer to that. I haven't studied sunfish often, although I have caught, I think it was, I don't know the type. That's how much I know. I know I did catch a sunfish in my local lake once. It was, not native here. Someone threw them in there. There's all kinds of stuff. There's tilapia and all kinds of weird fish in there. I caught one, but I don't know if it's cichlid. It's a cichlid, so maybe someone in here can answer that. Simja Nacho said, ever use extreme flakes? Actually, Nacho, I've really wanted to add extreme to the diet and give them that for their, along with all the rest, to support the you know, the mixed food kind of thing, and I just haven't gotten around to it. But I definitely would not be opposed to trying extreme flakes or even some of the pellets for my bigger cichlids. I would like to do that. So, but I haven't yet. Mike Likes Coffee said, and what do you think about fluval bug bites for cichlids? They use black larvicide. Yeah, so Mike, I didn't actually answer my treats. I do have bug bites that I feed once a week for on the treat day. The treat day consists of, that's a one feeding a week thing. I feed the frozen bloodworms. I'll feed krill, freeze-dried krill. I'll feed the bug bites or the Northfin Bug Pro, and yeah, those are pretty much my treats. And obviously, I'm not giving the big freeze-dried krill to my smaller fish. It's kind of when they're getting bigger, but they'll get a combination of those treats on treat day. So yeah, I like that stuff. The fish love it, honestly. And I got a big old tub of bug bites. Honestly, I think I bought way too much. I got this huge tub. I'm all about trying to buy in bulk and save money over time, but that was one I definitely should not have purchased. It's taking me forever to go through. Jared said gold psalms. So those were the terrors he was referring to. I agree. Gold psalms are basically always at my cichlids, my cichlid shops, or fish shops, I should say. That's a pretty common one and a very beautiful one. There's reasons why those cichlids are there, guys, you know. It's because I think the majority believes they're beautiful. Probably a combination of, to a degree, that they're not incredibly difficult to keep, you know. Some might be harder than others, but they're probably not on the difficult side, I would guess. And they probably breed fairly easy, maybe medium to easy level. If they were almost impossible to breed, I think it would be less common in the hobby. What's a good example of that? Mesoheros japhiris. I think that's a great example. I kept those for 6 years, and I think I got one spawn that I saw a couple fry. And, you know, you can't tell me those aren't absolutely beautiful. I mean, the green, yellow coloration that those things get, the contrast, it's incredible. You know, they're in the same family as Festae. I don't see why those wouldn't be very popular. They have the color. They just do not breed in captivity. Very difficult. I know a buddy who got on a little hot streak and had multiple spawns, but you know, in general, it's hard, that species, you know. So I guess that's another factor that could affect it, is if they are easy to breed. If they're difficult, you're going to see a lot less of them. So, oh, Lady Fish, what's up? Cichlid meeting. Thank you for your attendance, Old Lady Fish. Jared said, sunfish are not cichlids. There you go. They're Leponus. I'm not saying that right. Let me just say it even worse. Leoponus. I'm sure I pronounce all of the species names incorrectly. Just so, for the record, setting it straight. That way you can't make fun of me. Cichlids with attitude. What's up, man? Cichlids with attitude says his top most common species that he sees in the hobby, in order. Oscar's number one. Red devil. There you go. How about red devils, guys? Convicts, of course. Jack Dempsey and Severum. Severum's an interesting one. I'm sure everybody's depending on where you live, even depending on the fish shops. The fish shops probably have their preferences, I'm guessing. I know for a fact if I had a fish shop, you would see red terrors in there every single day. But that's because that's my favorite. So depending on the fish shops and where you are, obviously it could vary. But yeah, I can see Severums being on that list. Although I don't know that I would put them on my top 5 in my area. Old lady, how are your Texas cichlids doing in the pond? Old lady fish, I haven't had Texas cichlids in the pond for maybe 3 years, 2 to 3 years. I had that project a while ago, and they did pretty good. I had a male and female in a 300-gallon pond. Well, it's actually like a feeding tub above the pond, let's say that. And they had multiple spawns, and then all of a sudden the female got killed. Go figure. I guess it shouldn't be surprising. What's surprising is the sheer amount of space that they had. This pair literally, I think, 4 and 5 inches, and they had a big 300-gallon pond. It just was not enough. It all came down to, I think, it's the group. They lacked the group to tone down the aggression. Since then, the Braziliensis have been in the pond for almost 2 years now, I think, and a very aggressive species. There's been 10 in there and no deaths. So that right there shows you the power of the group. One of the many things it can, how it can benefit you. One is aggression. It really tones down the aggression. So, I had a project. I got some really small Texas fry from a buddy recently. They haven't done too well. I got them in a quarantine tank. I think I lost about 70% of them. Unfortunately, a little disappointed. They don't look to be sick, and maybe it's the heat. Who knows? So hopefully I'll have enough in the end to be able to start that project again, because I do have an open 100-gallon out there. I would like to try them again out there, but we'll see if I can even get to that right now with how poorly they're doing. So we'll see. Thanks for the question, though, about the ponds. All right, John. Here's John's answer. Top 5 most common species, American cichlids in the hobby. John said angelfish. That's a good one. Yeah, that's one I kind of just didn't even think about. That's a good one. Convicts, there you go. Oscars, convicts and Oscars seem to be pretty common on everybody's list. Rams are good. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I see those at my shops consistently. Blue acaras, that's one that my area I don't see very often. And actually, I would say in my area that's kind of on the rare side. I have seen them, but not very often. So that's pretty cool. We have some differences in the list. John asked, anyone ever see a wild or even F1 Jack Dempsey? John, if all goes well, I am preparing as we speak to hopefully get some wild-caught Jack Dempseys. Now, it's going to require a buddy of mine to come through, but I have never kept a Jack Dempsey in my life, and I was always saying I would wait until I can get some wild-caughts, because let's be honest, a lot of the species I keep, it's a combination of I love them, and I feel like it's important to distribute them in the hobby. You know, there's demand, people want them. And Jack Dempsey's is one of those that, you know, there's a lot out there. You see them it's on my top 5 list, the most popular. You're going to see them at almost every fish shop. The one thing you won't see is fresh blood. You know, my assumption is most of those Jack Dempseys are inbred to death. They're who knows what generation, who knows how many collection points crossed. No one knows anything about those. A lot of deformities. There's, you know, basically that species is in dire need for a refresh of blood in the hobby. And so I've always thought to myself that the only time I would try to keep something like that would be if I can get some wild caughts and try to distribute some F1 blood into the hobby. And so it's something that could happen. We'll see. I definitely have a tank open right now because I have my fingers crossed. But we'll see how that goes. But funny you asked that question, John. The timing is pretty funny. Cichlids with attitude. He says he's in Maryland. Okay. Yeah, a lot of good fish buddies in Maryland. And I think there's a ton of, I think it's pretty popular for cichlids, from what I've heard and from what I've seen. Good spot for cichlids. John said, "Wow, I was convinced it was a man-made fish." What species are you referring to, John? Probably not the Jack Dempseys, I'm guessing. Was it the sunfish? Just curious. Oh, okay. John said the Jack Dempseys. Yeah, John. You know, I don't blame you for having that opinion, or even if you were being sarcastic. It's a good point to make. You know, when's the last time you've seen anybody? When's the last time you've seen Jack Dempsey's listed, available, with a generational information or a catch location? Right? I think the same can be said with Cuban cichlids. You know, it's just, you know, there hasn't been any fresh blood of those species in the hobby for who knows how long, right? Yeah. Now I have seen just small imports on the Jack Dempseys. You know, maybe a while ago. I didn't jump on it at the time, but then I don't know what happened with those. It wasn't many, and I'm sure most of the people get you know, those cichlids are not breeding them for distribution, so you end up not seeing that. Obviously, my goal is going to be to breed them and to distribute, and being the first time I will ever have kept them, it's going to be to enjoy them and learn about them. So I'm really looking forward to that. Like that's my next hope of a project coming up. So we'll see if that happens. But yeah, John, that was pretty funny. Jared said, "Let's see the Festae and Motas. They're your best fish in your opinion." Okay, yeah, thank you. Well, I have a lot of tanks with Festae, so let me get it off the tripod and we'll zoom up close. I have a male and female. These are F1s that I've been growing out since fry. Obviously, I spawned them in this tank right here, and try to zoom in here. You got this male here, and he's looking fantastic, and he paired off with that female. That female had eggs in that pot, and she's been very territorial. I really haven't looked to see if they became wigglers or not, but you could see their progress They're doing pretty good. I think there's only like six of these Festae left in here. And I may even move this female here in the pot, to be honest with you. I'm gonna hang on to the male a little longer. I need bigger males, and this guy's just trying to get them to size because I have so many big females that I want to use, and I have almost no big males. So I think I'm gonna have to hang on to the male, but the female, proven breeder, multiple times. She had fry last time, wigglers, and I didn't pull them. She's feisty. I like her a lot, and you know, she's a willing participant with the right male. So, well, I guess this is my first announcement. I didn't plan on that. Anyways, she's available, and I get hundreds of requests for bigger Festae. It's just all the time, and I was gonna announce her in the next fish room update video, which should be in a couple weeks, because this YouTube live stuff, the quality looks terrible. The colors don't look good. So, but anyways, I just talked myself into an early announcement. So she's about 6 inches, I would estimate. She could be a little bit bigger, and she's a breeder. She's F1 Rio Gaius, off of my, well, a wild caught pair that I don't have anymore. But yeah, they're doing good. There's a male I'm going to hang on to for a little while and see. But yep, colored up female over there, breeder. Let me know if someone's interested. Yep, she is aggressive. It's probably fry in there. I can't see it, it's too dark, but I'll probably look after this video. Shine a little flashlight in there. Let's see here. You were asking to see the Festae. Let's go look at more Festae, okay? So this is going to be the wild caught pair. Pretty much my favorite pair. It's where I'm getting all the fry I'm distributing. Doing good. Male's really getting big. And again, colors you are seeing here are terrible. So YouTube live video quality is pretty bad, but yeah, they're doing good. Again, these are wild caught Rio Gaius Festae, and these are my number one breed. These are my breeders right now. I'm not pulling fry from anybody else, and I have some of their fry in the 3/4 inch range, almost ready to be listed. Although I have moved some smaller ones per special request from people who couldn't wait. But I do have a batch that's going to come up available soon. Really fun male, handsome boy. Getting big. I don't know, if I had to guess, I'd say he's probably 13 inches at this point. And I don't know if she's gonna be dropping eggs anytime soon, but anyways, Festae are doing good. Female's getting thick too. Little nuchal developing. And then I do have another section of grow outs over here. You can see this female over here seemed to have become the dominant female on this side. I have a bigger male that I'm hoping pairs off with her. There he is. I think he's going to be really nice. He just needs to grow a pair and start flaring up at the big boy. you know. Anyways, that's kind of the design of this 240 gallon split up like this. He does have 3 females to choose from over here, and none of them are getting destroyed to that point where I'm worrying right now. But you know, it's the process. It's the process of pairing up Festae. It usually doesn't happen fast. It takes some time. And then after this tank, I guess, okay, we'll just see it all the way through. I have a 180 gallon as well that I'm working with Festae. I got so much tanks devoted towards Festae right now. It's really kind of taken away from other species I could be working on projects. But let's go check out the last Festae area. So it might not be good with the lighting here. It's towards the back, but so I got this 180, and I had a problem here because I have so many big females. This is actually a wild-caught female, not very colored up, not paired up right now, but she is absolutely stunning. She's a breeder, and when she was paired up with an older male that I had, she was just really nice coloration, great bars. The problem is I have so many bigger females. They turned female or turned out female, and I thought that they would be males, and so it threw my plan off, and so I had this subdominant fish who this is almost positive this guy is a male, and I had to separate him to give him a shot to put on some size, because he was just kind of getting picked on by 3 females. He was smaller, and now in the maybe month and a half time in this section of the 180 gallon, kind of giving him more food, allowing him to grow and become more dominant, you know, and get some confidence through the divider flaring up at them. I need to give him that head start and kind of get him bigger. And so once I feel comfortable with his size and his growth, which I can already see, he's probably the biggest fish now, but I'm going to give him a little bit more time. And I feel like this guy is fantastic. He's got some of the most, hands down, the most spangles I've ever had on a male. He's got perfect barring, and we'll see if his coloration comes in and his profile comes through, you know. But I think he has the potential of being fantastic, a fantastic breeder. And he's an F1 off of you know, wild-caught pair that I had, and I would like nothing more than to pair him up with this wild-caught female who's not related to him. But as backups, I have 2 other females that have really nice barring here. I wouldn't be upset if you picked either one of those. So we'll see. Anyways, it's kind of the Festae updates. Very slow moving, slow progress. You also asked about the motas. Now the motas are kind of in an area where you're not going to see. The back of the tank is kind of, look at that one, look at the bars on that one. Get in before they fade. But anyways, that's another male that I'm keeping my eye on. I think that one could be really nice. Anyways, so the motas, this guy down here is sulking. You know, he doesn't like the garage door open. Yeah, he's coming out a little bit. And I still have them divided. And I kind of committed to a buddy of mine who is going to pick them up. And females on the other side, upset that I got the garage door open. And I think the fact that they're in, this guy's getting bigger. I think the fact that they're in a divided tank is just, to me, it's not as fun. I think the male is a little too aggressive on her. I didn't need to divide them, and they're not breeding through the divider. Plus, I have 2 batches of Mota fry. So for all those reasons and the fact that I want to work on new projects, I am going to hand them off to a buddy. So that's what's up at the Modus. Anyways, let me get caught up on some comments here. I'll stay on the Festae for a little bit. Cichlid with Attitude said, a guy on IG caught a wild pink jack in Florida. Well, I don't think, well, for one, I don't think Jack Dempseys were originally found in Florida, so I don't think it would be called a wild caught. That would be feral caught, is my understanding. Because they're introduced there, someone brought them in and probably threw them in there. Correct me if I'm wrong. And two, those aren't there? Isn't there a variant of Jack Dempsey's that is it pink or gold? I can't remember. I thought there was like a lighter coloration variant. And so that would make sense, you know. You go into Florida and they got all these mix of species that were just introduced, right? Kind of like my local lake. We got sunfish, tilapia, bass, catfish, you know, carp, all kinds of stuff. You know, it's a big old mix. So, but I think, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but the only cichlid that was originally found in the United States in North is the Texas cichlid. Is that correct? That's my understanding. Maybe there's another species, but I highly doubt Jack Dempseys were originally found in Florida. So I don't think there could be wild caught Florida Jack Dempseys. That's my understanding. Tabarak Aquatics, I agree. I love your Festaes and your Modas. Thank you, bud. Yeah, Festae are definitely my favorite, as everybody knows. I don't know what these two are doing in the pot right now, but definitely up to something good. You know, I mean, the male could snap at any second, but I'm incredibly thankful it's gone well for this long. You know, I don't know what everybody else's experience is with Festae pairs and Festae males, but man, I've just had them. Give me 1 second, guys.
Television, you can watch them on the Planning Commission meeting, which is on Wednesday coming up, and the City Council meeting after that, on the Tuesday after that. The Planning Commission makes the recommendation, City Council decides. So if we're slam the planning commission and stay our course at City Hall, hopefully they will not pass this. Okay?
Thank you very much for waking up.
Sorry, guys. Had a neighbor come by and talk about some stuff. Let's get back on track. All right. Hey, there's a good question. Is there really such a thing as gold tiger motas? You know, my understanding, and I've never actually kept them, my understanding is that the original Motaguensis that were brought in, what was it, maybe 10, 15 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago, I don't know how long it was, those were a different variant. They were more of yellowish gold, and then at a point, those slowly phased out, and then what was brought in were basically the red tiger motas, more of a red-orange coloration. Yes, that's a real thing, is what I understand. And yeah, you can find some old pictures of them. Maybe go look on Monster Fish Keepers and see what they look like. Pretty cool. It's a different variant. And to be clear, it's not just a red tiger mota that happened to look a little bit more on the yellowish side. It's not that. It does look somewhat different, distinctly. I think maybe more than color than the red tiger motas. So yeah, there's an interesting one. And I would love to see those old original motas back in the hobby. That would be really cool. I know I would definitely be trying to get some if they were available. Let's say, John says, are you breeding any Peruvian Festae? No, John, no Peruvians right now. Although, my buddy who imports Festae from time to time, not the easiest. Yeah, he's talked about bringing Peruvians in at some point. I wouldn't be opposed to giving them a shot. I want to keep them all. More so to experience and see if there is actually distinct differences between the collection points. I don't know that there is. I'm not confident there is, but there's people who swear on it that different. The Peruvian ones are more of this kind of look, coloration wise, a little bit different. But I don't know if it's that easy to tell. So I would love to keep them, the Peruvian ones. Ginger Dan, glad to have you here. Thanks for stopping by. Cichlid Attitude said electric pink, electric blue variants. Interesting. Oh, and while we're on the topic of Jack Dempsey's, and feel free if you're late, we had a discussion topic earlier to list the top 5 most common American cichlids that you will usually see available in your area, whether it be your fish shop or breeders or whatever it may be. What are the top 5 most common in order? And so feel free to keep answering that question if you haven't already. There's another good question that stems off of Cichlids with an Attitude, talking about the electric pink, electric blue variants of Jack Dempsey's. Is the electric blue Jack Dempsey a hybrid or a purebred? Let me know what you think, and maybe if you have any information to support what you think, let's hear it. I've seen that topic debated. People go back and forth on that over and over. people are very, how can you say, they get very heated on that topic. And, you know, I've never kept any of them, so I'm not really emotionally attached one way or another, but it's an interesting, controversial topic to talk about. You know, I don't know that anybody can ever show proof one way or the other. I think there's just, you know, this guy said this or that guy said this, or because of these reasons, this is likely outcome. I don't know that anybody could actually be confident one way or another. I don't know if that proof exists. So my what I've heard, and this is not me believing it, it's kind of, I like to hear all kinds of opinions and information and you know, and sort of formulate it, you know, your own opinion one way or the other. But my you know, from what I've heard, really good arguments have been, if the electric blue Jack Dempsey was a pure species, we would know about a collection point that they've come from, right? You know, people bring in wild cuts, Festae, whatever species, they 99% of the time they usually come with a collection point, or at least the country, right? You know, but oftentimes the river, you know, that they're collected from. So with the electric blue Jack Dempsey, I don't know that one exists, but the same could be said about the original strain Jack Dempsey, right? Because it's just been so long, maybe people forgot where they come from. But I can easily find out a collection point, which is talking about that project that hopefully I get going. I can tell you a collection point of the original, but I cannot think of a collection point of the electric blue Jack Dempsey. So that was just one argument I've heard made towards them being hybrids, right? Because, you know, you can't tell me where they're from. You know, they're most likely mixed. And, you know, the people say they're mixed with, what are they mixed with? I forgot. They said like a Cuban, or I don't know, Cuban, Carpentis, I don't even know, you know, to get those colorations. And then there's also the deformity issue, right? My understanding of hybrids, and I've never really kept them or bred them, is that you might get a lot of deformities that occur, at least with inbred, I think flower horns and stuff. Don't you get a lot of deformities, and you know, they suffer, they have shorter lifespans, health issues. I think that's with a lot of you know, pets and animals in life. Like, doesn't the English bulldog have a very short lifespan? I know they really can't breathe very well. You know, they struggle to, you know, their hips have issues. You know, aren't they inbred kind of over long periods of time, and kind of creates, you know, such issues with the breed. I think that's what I've heard the case be made, that you see all the deformities and variations of electric blue Jack Dempseys that exist, and that's an argument that they're likely hybrids. So anyways, I'm really curious to hear what everybody else has to say on electric blue Jack Dempseys, hybrids or pure species. Let me know. It's a cool topic. I don't think we've ever discussed that before. Rawl said Rio Grande perch, also known as Texas cichlid. Oh wow, it's called the Rio Grande perch. I knew it was a Rio Grande cichlid. I didn't know it was also considered or called a perch. That's interesting. Raul said, that's a gorgeous female Festae. Thank you so much. Yeah, I really like her. Ginger Dan said, how's the community tank coming on, mate? Ginger, are you referring, as far as the community, because I have quite a few tanks with groups, a lot of fish, but as far as community, are you referring to the Freddies, the multifasciatus? We can go check them out. Slide on over here. All right. Well, let's get off the darn tripod for a second. Sun is going down. It's getting darker faster. But anyways, the Freddies, I'm still going to call them Freddies. The multifasciatus are doing good. It's relatively peaceful in here because we don't have fry in each corner of the tank, and keep in mind it's only a 4-foot tank, and it pretty much appears, another pair over here, pretty much appears that it's kind of like a 50-50 mix. I think 9-10 fish of females and males. This female's funny. She's never actually paired up. She's just guarding a different pair's fry. And also, guys, since I'm mentioning things available, I've been moving these multifasciatus fry, these Freddies. They're half-inch plus. Maybe some are closer to 3/4 of an inch. The only reason I'm moving them at this size is because I don't have a bigger tank to give them, and the batch was sort of small enough where I can keep them in this breeder box. I've been shipping these guys out, and they've arrived successfully. I think 3 shipments already. If you're interested in some Freddies or multifasciatus, let me know. I'm moving these now. I just could not wait. Anyways, so back to the group of Parachromis multifasciatus. Doing good. Colors are not coming through, but they're beautiful, gold, yellowish, and there's the dominant pair. If I had to keep one pair, I'd probably go with these guys right now. But the problem is, the darn female is like the same size as the male. And, I think anybody who's kept cichlids knows that that's not a good thing to do if you're just going to keep the pair together. So much could go wrong. One, if the male wants to kill the female, she can't hide and get away. And the female being the same size, she could easily turn on the male and kill him. It's just not what I want. So I'm leaving them in the group longer. That's just what's going on now. Plus, it's pretty fun. There's a male back there flaring. There was a spawn right on the back of that driftwood. There was a spawn in that pot. And I think there was another spawn in this corner. That was all 3 weeks ago, and I tried to remove all the fry. I think I pulled about 600-700 fry, and they're in a 10-gallon right now. It was more to get rid of the fry and the aggression rather than to keep more fry, we're going to see more fry of these guys. And I have those ones that I just showed you available if you're interested now. Anyways, these are doing great. I love them. Really fun species. Let's get to some of the comments. Anybody have any answers to my question, my controversial question I posed? Electric Blue Jack Dempsey, pure or hybrid? And why do you think so? Let's get to some comments here. Tabarak Aquatics said, I bought a fish from my LFS labeled a yellow jacket cichlid. Okay, that's probably a multifasciatus, probably what you're seeing here. I don't know what to make of it because they use the blanket name yellow jacket. How do I know what I have? Well, honestly, you would need to kind of have an eye for the species. Do they look similar to what you're seeing right now? As far as my opinion, these, even though the reclassification that occurred 2.5 years ago, I think it was, changed these from Frederickstallii to multifasciatus and eliminated the Loiselli name and gave that species the Frederickstallii. To me, nicknames do not change. So I would still say these are Freddies, these are yellow jackets, right? I'm not transferring the nickname over with the reclassification. That's the way I look at it. Maybe there's a reason why I shouldn't look at it that way. Let me know. But anyways, I would assume if that's a trustworthy fish shop, that you have the same species right here. That's my guess. Tabarak said it looks more golden rather than yellow. Yeah, these are gold. A lot of these will be gold. They're just not coming through the video, the YouTube video. But I could tell you for a fact, these guys right here, even though you're not seeing it, they're gold looking right now. Gold, more gold than yellow. It's just the video quality through the live video. They're not showing anything like they're looking in person. So I think you're good. I think you have the same species. John said, nice on the Peruvians. Males are supposed to be more streamlined. Interesting, John. It could be. That would be neat to see consistent males of the Peruvian Festae, show that more streamlined look. I can tell you, personal preference, I'm more of a tall, bulky profile type of fish lover. So if that were the case, I would probably keep the Peruvians and then maybe go back to the Ecuadorians. But it's cool that there's different variants out there. For sure. I like that. Tabarak Aquatic said, I see red devils in every store. Red devils, yeah, that's, someone else said that too. So, red devils. And, I don't want to make another controversial topic here, but the whole deal with red devils, right? I mean, everybody who's in the Amphilophus groups, due to the hybridization of red devils and something else, what is it? Red devils and Midas, making the my devil, there's a common standard that I see everybody stating that if you don't have the lineage on your red devils or Midas, then the assumption should be that they're my devils and they're hybrids. I think I definitely agree with the better safe than sorry, situation or standard. I don't know what you guys think about that, but yeah, with the hybridizing, it's it can make it tricky. I think Trimacs are another one that that may exist. You see a lot of people saying, "Do I have a Trimac? Do I have a real Trimac?" And some of the hybrids, it's a little hard to tell. I mean, there's a lot of guessing that occurs. But Jay Smith said, do you remember around 20 years ago, the Carpentis all had huge blue-green blotches as opposed to the spots and scribbles found now? Yeah, Jay, and have you checked out, Jay, along those lines, have you checked out, I think it was a population called the Rio Verde Carpentis that I've seen available recently. I think Tegel up in Cichlids might have had some. I also know a buddy of mine can get them and has imported them before. But those look also completely different than the Escondidos that I have right now, or even the Rio Hondos. Just very different. And obviously, collection points can make big differences. I think we all know some species. So, yeah, I mean, it's like gold moda that used to be back in the day, right? Those used to be the motaguenses, and they didn't have the red tiger motas. And then at some point, who knows why, maybe the area became, not accessible, and they couldn't collect gold motas anymore. And then they found the red variants. Then all you see are the reds in the hobby. So, yeah, things can definitely change over time due to various reasons. Yeah. Yeah, Liam Walter said, electric blue jack dempseys, totally hybrids. Yeah, thank you for your comment there, Liam. Do you, I was wondering if you had any kind of, obviously I don't think anybody has facts, but any kind of reasoning behind that, kind of sort of like the ones I mentioned, of leading the same way, where leaning the same way, it's more likely that they're hybrids than not, right? Because of a couple of those reasons I've heard people use, and I kind of agree with them. Doesn't mean it's 100% that's the situation, but I feel like those reasons all kind of support that. So let me know if you think what you think about that. Ginger Dance, what I read a while back, EBJD can appear in wild, but rare as get eaten being weakest in batch. Very weak gene, but I have an 8-inch female. That's a very good point. And I always like to hear all sides of it. So I'm going to talk about just briefly, and I've never kept them, the red dovi, right? I think everybody is in agreement that the red dovi is not a hybrid, right? At least the one that was brought in, I think, from Costa Rica, right? Not the pre-one where people tried to create one as a hybrid. But the latest red dovi, I think we're all in agreement, is not a hybrid, right? It was, a one in a, what was it, like a 1 in 1,000 chance or something along that lines that you would find one in the wild like that. And then they caught some, they brought them back, and then it has, there's some percentage chance that you breed those guys and they're going to have fish that peel and become kind of lighter color. I don't know if red dovi was the right name for it, because a lot of the ones you see are like almost, whitish, maybe orangish. I could see a little bit of the red that can occur, but I don't know. Anyways, we'll just say red dovi. Those, right, they occur in the wild. They're not very common. Maybe because of their color, predators could easily target them, and you don't see a lot of them grow up because of those reasons. But I really thought it was interesting because I think it was Guapote Mel who kept some red dovi in his gigantic tanks. I don't know if it was his 1,000-gallon or 600-gallon tank, and he had some that peeled and were, let's say red, and the other ones were normal coloration. And he noticed, I think he said in his videos, he noticed that the ones that were turned red or peeled had health issues. Like some of them were blind, they died off, they just really struggled as far as kind of those health issues. And we know that they're naturally occurring, they're not hybrids, but they have those issues. So then maybe it makes the argument of the electric blue jack dempseys being having all the deformities and health issues, maybe it makes that not necessarily a reason why they're hybrids, right? So I thought that was interesting. Anyways. Bernardo Turner said, looks great. Hey, thank you. I wish the Freddies were showing some better color for you, but take what we can get. Cool Fins Aquatics, what's up, man? He said, had my EBJD for 2 years and only 5 inches. Yeah, slow growers, huh? That's crazy. What size were they when you started? I've heard that species is, under a certain size. I've heard like 4 inches, they can be really high likelihood that they die off. So, I've heard that, don't get them if they're under 4 inches, because you could lose them pretty easily, high likelihood. Anyways, I don't know if that's true. Let me go on here just to talk, guys, on this Carpentis tank. Tabarak said, looks like yours, but it's more golden than yellow, but it looks like yours. Okay. Yeah, like I said, the video is not showing the gold, it was just showing the yellowish color, but they definitely look gold. I could tell you that for sure. I'm not sure what that question is about. I did talk about relating the red dovi situation with the health issues to the electric blue jack dempsey health issues. So Ginger Dead said mine's around 7 years old at Cool Fins Aquatics. Okay. Tabarak said, why don't you keep the Rio Hondo Carpentis? Good question. Tabarak, I have kept the Rio Hondos before. I've grown out from fry Rio Hondo Carpentis about, I think, 3 times. I had groups of either 15 or 20 of them, like I always try to do, big groups, right, to have a good chance of success. And these are just my observations. It's not what it may exist or not, but through those 3 times, for one, I wasn't successful getting pairs. All my males were way too hard on the females, and most of in 2 to 3 batches, they just wouldn't pair up. So that was one issue, and the other issue, please don't take it as a controversial thing. It's just my experience. I had a lot of deformities in the fry of the Rio Hondo Carpentis. Consistently, I had deformities in all 3 batches. It wasn't a high number of deformities for 15 fish, but there were multiple in all of the batches. I had this incredibly weird short body one. I had, I think, some fin deformities, gill deformities. It was just all over the place with that collection point. And so for that reason, I said, okay, I think I'm good on those, and I've gone with the Escondidos ever since. And honestly, there's not a lot of fresh Escondido Carpentis blood in the hobby, so of course mine are line bred, inbred, and have not seen deformities on these fish, these fry. I'm sure there's been some out there because I distribute a lot of fry, but I personally have not seen any deformities growing these guys out. I think it's, for whatever reason that might be, it's just I'm more interested in keeping the Escondidos rather than the Rio Hondos. That's my take. But I think color was equivalent. They both look incredibly blue, very nice. The ones I've seen in the hobby, of course there's always exceptions, but I don't know that the Rio Hondos have the same tall profile that the Escondidos get. I could be wrong, and of course there's always oddballs that are exceptions to the rule, but I don't know that I've seen many Rio Hondos that I would say have similar tall profiles as the Escondidos I've seen. And like I just mentioned, my personal preference is not so much of a streamlined fish, but more of a tall-bodied, nice nuchal hump, tall fish. That's just what I like. Everybody's got a different preference. I get it. I hope that answered your question. Old Lady Fish said, how are the Aslanum? Probably one of my favorite you have. Hopefully you pair up and grow them out. Would love to get some. Convince my wife to let me get 125 under the TV. Awesome. 125 under the TV. I did grow out those fry maybe a year plus ago, and I formed a bunch of pairs. I distributed every single one of those pairs. I didn't keep any of them in the end. I'm debating doing that again because I have 2 more batches of fry. I still have fry here. I think my biggest red Aslanum fry are in that inch to inch and a half range. I could very easily, if I clear a tank, do the same thing again. Probably start with 20 fry. I'd probably end up with 8 pairs. It's really easy to get your pairs. It happens really small size. You're going to get more fry than you can count, and then before you know it, you'll realize that you can't keep them together as a pair. You got to keep them as a group, and so to have a tank large enough for adult Aslanus to requires a pretty large tank. So yeah, it's fun fish. Really fun for me up until a certain size, maybe 4 to 5 inches. And at that point, I'm not willing to give them a divided tank, meaning divide the male and female. And so I usually ship them off to you guys, whoever's interested. I that's what I do with the Aslanus. But I wouldn't be shy about getting some of the fry for yourself. It's gonna happen quick. These are not Festae. They will not be slow growing. They will pair up very young and small, 3 inches, possibly less, 2.5 inch female. You're gonna get something happening quick, within months. Festae, that's a different story. You're gonna wait 2 years in some cases. Anyways, Raul said, South Florida is insane. There's so many different invasive cichlid species that I wonder if there are any unnatural hybridizations happening there. You have a very good point, Raul. Yeah, I mean, it's hands down. If I lived in Florida, I would love it. I would love going to fish. I love fishing. I would love to go catch those cichlids out of there. I just would not use them to breed and distribute. It would be catching them and throwing them back, period. I wouldn't even keep one to keep it for myself because I thought it was a nice specimen. I'm just not into that. I'm into breeding and distributing. And when you catch a random fish out of Florida canals, it's just you don't know what you're getting, really. You can make assumptions and guesses, but yeah. All right, thank you. Sorry, guys. Amazon guy has arrived. Anyways, Old Lady Fish said the 120 is too wide and sticks out too much. Okay. Yeah, the 120 is a fat boy. It's basically 2 of those equal a 240-gallon tank by dimensions and gallons, obviously. Yeah, I mean, you fit more lengthwise, in your room. But yeah, every species requires different tanks. Ole said, been missing all the updates. Hopefully you've been deep sea fishing and getting some good bluefin. I think you mean buddy went last week at San Clemente Island and got 5. Yeah, Old Lady Fish. I'm definitely not missing out. I had a 3-day, and it was absolutely incredible. I think I caught 14 of them. Anywhere from 60 pounds to 190 pounds. And only one of those was on the kite, which was awesome because kite fishing is kind of cheating. But all the rest of them were on jigs in the middle of the night, and it was a blast. Unfortunately, I could only bring home 2 fish worth of meat. Way more fish than I could handle. Jay Smith said, mini wild-caught Jack Dempseys have a bright red breast area. Yeah, you know, I love that coloration when I see it on certain fish. I'm hoping that I can get some wild cuts, and I'm hoping that they have that red. That's really pretty. Tuberock said Andy Woods got some red doveye from Cichlids of the Americas and bred them. That's cool. You know, I gotta get caught up on Andy's videos. You know, I gotta get caught up on a lot of people's videos. It's just been very busy, hectic lately. But yeah, that's cool. You know, red doveye, that's awesome. I love that there's another option in the hobby. You know, even if they may have some of the issues that people experienced, it's still cool to have those options, right? 100%. Joe Smith said, very informative and motivating. Your show keeps the passion alive. Cheers. Really appreciate it, Joe. You know, I think the information part is not just coming from me, it's coming from everybody here. I consider myself average at best fish hobbyist, you know, if on a good day. You know, I'm just here to learn. You know, I love to be corrected when I'm wrong and taking new advice, seek new advice all the time. I think that's what most of us are here for, or should be here for, right? Is to always be learning. So I learn a lot from you guys, so I really appreciate it too. And yes, it's such a great hobby to have. A lot of motivation, and you know, I was just talking about fishing because old lady fish brought it up, but that has been my favorite, biggest hobby for a long time. Unfortunately with that, because you know, to go after tuna, I can't just go down to the local lake. It's a big commitment, you know, 1 to 3 day trips minimum to go after these big beasts of fish. I can't do that very often. But guess what I can do every single day is cichlid keeping, fish keeping. That's it's so cool that you could just have that in where you live, and you could go check on your fish all hours of the day. You know, you work on your projects and progress and growing out your fish, and you know, they're coloring up right in front of your eyes, and you could do that every single day. That's definitely something that's amazing with cichlid keeping as a hobby versus something that you can only do 5 to 10 times a year, right? So I'm definitely motivated, and I'll become more motivated once I'm not able to catch tuna, which usually is winter. So then I'm more focused on one motivation. So. But Joe, I'm glad you enjoy the show. Or I wouldn't call it a show. I think we call it a cichlid meeting. It's where we meet and talk about cichlids. So, anybody else want to weigh in on the electric blue jack Dempsey hybrid or purebred? Let me know your thoughts. Would appreciate, with your opinion, some reasons why you think that way. I think I try to give reasons that support possibly, you know, one way, maybe both. And the reason I'm asking is because I want to learn. You know, I want to hear more what everybody thinks. I could tell you this though, if I do get get some wild caught Jack Dempseys, and I am successful breeding them, and I gross them out, if I were to get even a single fish that becomes electric blue in coloration or look, would, I guess that would debunk the hybrid narrative, right? Or, it definitely might not debunk some of the ones in the past, right? But it would debunk the fact that, it could be, the fish you see going forward could be pure. I don't know if that's possible or not, but we'll see. Maybe that's my project, to grow out as many of those darn things as I can. And if I don't even see a single one that becomes electric blue, maybe it's going to support my thoughts that, yeah, those got to be hybrids, right? So that could be fun. All right, who's left here? Usually try to target the 2-hour mark on these videos. Definitely not opposed to staying longer if we got some discussion going. Requests, questions, whatever. Let me know. Not many requests to go see different fish in here, which I'm totally fine with. I think we're all more engaged in conversation, which is awesome. But if you want to see something, let me know. I'm just going to pan around because I am here looking at my fish. That's why I'm sitting in my garage. And speaking of the Carpentis, we were talking about those. We got some of the grow outs. I think that's the biggest, hopefully, male of some of the fry grow outs. Really dark in here, so they are not showing in color, but they got a ton of it, I can tell you that. There's some small Trimax in here. These guys were absolutely wrecking the fry in the fry tank. So it seems to be a good mix. I can put some smaller Trimax in with these Carpentis, and the Trimax do fine. They actually eventually catch up in size because Trimax are pretty fast growers. And of course, I got a male Trimac. It might not be the right time to show them, but hey, I'm in my fish room. But I got a male that I'm pretty excited about. We'll see how that goes. And he's got his own tank here because I used to have this Maculopinis group, and I got this guy in here now. And again, these are Rio Naranjo Trimax. And you can see a male and a female there, but the male, I really like the patterns and the spots, the flower markings, whatever you call them, on him. I think he's got a teardrop on both eyes. And I think he might be good. I think he might be a nice fish. We'll see over time. Slowly getting some color. I mean, he's in that 5-inch range now. And I got some Dempsey in here as dithers. Dempsey dithers, kind of funny, but though I kept 3 from that last batch of fry. And then the female is really funny because she's like this short and stubby female. I can't figure it out. You know, I posed the question: is she a short body or is she just a real fatty big eater? She definitely eats a lot. But she was the largest of the batch, and I had to separate her and tone her down a little bit so I can get a male that was bigger than her, and that's this guy. So we'll see. I just might want to hang on to those two for a little while, see how this male develops. Yeah, and you can see that other male Trimac is also playing the dither role. But anyways, I'm not quite done with Trimacs yet. Thought I was going to be done when I got rid of my pair. Yeah, I mean, this guy's not colored up, but he definitely doesn't have the colors that are showing in this video. He's got more color than that. It's just your YouTube live video quality. Anyways, guys, I think we'll wrap this up in about 10 minutes unless anybody has anything. If not, appreciate it. I'm just gonna go around to some more of my fish, check them out. Let's see. Don't forget about the Cubans. They got some fry in here, but not super necessary for me to pull them. I have, I think, 1.5 to 2.5 inch fry or something like that. What else are we gonna look at? Oh yeah, wanted to check out my Stahlsberg grouts, but you know, they're always skittish. They're skittish fish, and they got the garage door open right next to them. Can't expect much from the species in this situation. But they're doing good. So slow growing for me. But some got some color, so that's pretty cool. There's like a couple 4-inchers in here, but huge difference in size. Where are you going? That's what the big guy's doing. No. Oh, female got a little ripped fins, pectoral fin there. I did not notice that until now. This guy's a little harder than her. It's kind of out of the ordinary. Love both of these females. And of course that male's one of my favorite. Anyways, guys, not sure how many are in here at this time, but I think the discussion is coming to an end. So, just want to say thank you. Always fun times. Got the usual suspects attending, plus new guys. Really appreciate it. Fun conversation. Cool topics. And yeah, I'll try not to miss next month's live video. Can't promise that, but I think I can promise that I'm going to do my monthly fish room updates. I will not forget those. So appreciate you stopping by, or even those of you watching the video after the fact. And until the next one, take care, guys.